Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Ignite your afternoons at Waba Grill's $5 happy hour with our 5-piece pork veggie dumplings and a value-sized premium beverage drink, like our tangy passion fruit lemonade. Enjoy $5 happy hour weekdays after 3 p.m. Only at Waba Grill.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Chargers are 2-0 after beating the Raiders Monday night in Vegas 20-9. 3 interceptions by the Chargers defense, which also kept the Raiders out of the end zone. The Raiders were limited to 3 field goals. The Chargers are worried about linebacker Khalil Mack. He left the game in the first quarter with what could be a serious elbow injury. Mack will have an MRI exam Tuesday morning. A couple of surprising stats in the NFL after week 2 of the regular season. The Kansas City Chiefs are 0-2 for the first time since 2014, the last time they did not make the playoffs. The 2-0 Indianapolis Colts are the first team since 1966 to play their first 2 games without having to punt. The Colts are averaging 31 points per game and have made 3 of 5 fourth down conversions. The Dodgers lost at home to Philadelphia 6-5 in 10 innings. The win clinched the NL East title for the Phillies. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Are you ready to be a part of the conversation that will help shape our nation's future? Get ready to join us for the Left Coast Forum, Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech, where progressive voices will come together to tackle the issues that matter most to working families across Los Angeles and beyond. From economic justice to climate action, from healthcare to housing, we're bringing together the brightest minds and most passionate advocates for real solutions and real change. With workshops, 2 major keynote addresses, and a closing reception with great music and good food. It's the Left Coast Forum, where your voice matters and your ideas take action. Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech. Brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 and the LA Progressive. The future won't wait, and neither should you. Mark your calendar now to be there and be heard. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 for more details.
That's Stevie Wonder. I'm Tavis Smiley, and I'm delighted to have you with us in this final hour of our program today. I think I can say this. I don't think he'd be upset. I saw Stevie over the weekend, and we sat and talked for a long while. And we were talking about the state of our country right now, the state of our world, and that won't surprise you because Stevie is such a humanitarian. But Steve and I were talking, and near the end of our conversation, I said something to him, and he said, "Yeah, I'm working on something about that right now." And so he pulled out his machine and played some new music for me. And I told Steve, after hearing this one particular track, I said, "I don't know if you're gonna put this out as a single or waiting for the new album, but I let me encourage you to put this out right now." Stevie's the GOAT for a lot of reasons, not the least of which is that, as I've said before, I don't care what the occasion is, there's a Stevie Wonder song. I don't care what emotional state you're in. I don't care what you're wrestling with. I don't care what the issue is. There is a Stevie Wonder song for any and every occasion. And we find ourselves in a moment right now that Stevie has written, he's written so many brilliant pieces of music that really speak to the times in which we live. I'm thinking of Living for the City, for example. But he has a new song that I hope he's going to release sooner than later, and that's all I can say about it. But when I heard this thing, it's the funkiest thing, and I think the most brilliant thing he's done in a long time. And I just hope that he puts this out sooner than later. So if you see Stevie Wonder, run into him or meet him somewhere, say, I heard Tavis say you got a new song. When you going to put it out? Just put the pressure on him, and maybe he will drop it sooner than later. But anyway, love me some Stevie Wonder. Our guest in this hour is Robin Allison Davis, Emmy Award-winning journalist. And I invited her on to take us inside her new book called Surviving Paris, a memoir of healing in the city of light, for those of you who may be curating your escape plan. Robin, good to have you on the program. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
It's good to have you on the program. Before I get into the book, this audience knows how I prefer to have these conversations. I'm always fascinated by the backstory of my guest. So before I get into the book about surviving Paris and your sojourn, just talk to me about the backstory. Tell me about Robin Allison Davis.
Well, I'm from the DC area. I attended Howard University, and I'm very close with my family who still lives in the DC area. After college, I moved to New York, started working for NBC News, did that for about 10 years, and decided, listen, I think I want a different way of life. What would life be like if I lived somewhere else, if I moved abroad? At that point, I'd been traveling a lot. I had a lot of travel groups and friends I would travel with. So I said, why not just test it out before I get married, before I have kids, before life bogs me down? Let me just see if I can move abroad and see how different life could be. And that's ultimately what brought me to Paris. It wasn't some lifelong dream of wanting to live in Paris.
Take me back to that moment where you were wrestling with that notion of what your life would be like if you lived abroad. And I'm going back to that. I think I said on this program yesterday, I think it was yesterday. What's today, Tuesday? It had to be yesterday because we're only 2 days in. Okay. I said yesterday on this program that I was in conversation a while ago on this show with a number of black expats. Black people, we did an hour one day, and we were tapped in to black expats literally in countries around the globe. It was a fascinating conversation to hear all these different perspectives from people who were in Africa, some were in Portugal, some were in Europe. But I was tapped into all these expats around the globe, and we were having this really rich dialogue about why they chose to leave and what they were experiencing and whether or not they were ever going to come back and did they miss their family. And it was just a really deep and rich conversation. So I'm always curious and interested to hear the thinking of persons of African descent who decide that they want to consider going someplace else. So take me back to that moment and tell me more about what was going on in your life that even got you on the path of thinking about maybe I should try living someplace else.
Well, it's interesting. It really started because I was feeling stuck. I was taking a lot of vacation time with my friends to travel the world, but when I would come back to my apartment in Harlem, I felt stuck. And I felt like there had to be something else out there, some different way of life that I needed to experience. And I guess it was just that I wanted that sense of adventure. I felt like everything was routine. I could do my job with my hand tied behind my back and blindfolded. I knew everything about New York and Harlem, and I was doing the same things every weekend. So it really came down to that. I wouldn't call it boredom, but just feeling stuck,
Yeah.
which I think a lot of people can relate to. It happens.
Yep.
And
And when you start considering this and got to the point of making the decision that you would in fact do it, I'm just taking this in steps and stages here. You're a producer. You're at NBC. You work this. You know how this works. So when you finally decided that you were going to take this step, how did you break that news? How did you share that with your family?
well, sharing it with my family was very difficult. With my sister, actually, it was quite easy. I knew my older sister would support me no matter what. So I told her, hey, I'm thinking of moving abroad. And actually, I decided on Paris because after living in New York for 10 years, I knew what I needed out of a place to be happy. I knew that I needed green space. I knew that I needed diversity. I knew that I needed lots of news so I could continue working as a journalist, like not too far from the East Coast of the US, all these different things. And so I came to her and I said, I think I'm going to move to Paris. And she wasn't surprised because I've been traveling so much.
Hmm.
But when I told my parents that I was moving, and this was actually after the November 2015 terrorist attacks in Paris, my parents were not happy at all.
Hold that thought. Hold that thought. I want to hear about the unhappy parents when we come forward. Yeah, never good to be in a room with unhappy parents. I want to hear about this part from Robin Allison Davis. Her book is called Surviving Paris, a memoir of healing in the city of light. This story is going to take a turn. I can tell you right now. It's going to take a turn that you don't see coming. So just brace yourself. I said earlier in today's program, sometimes you got to brace for effects, as somebody once said. This story's going to take a turn. I'm warning you now. So just sit tight and stay tuned. You're listening to Robin Allison Davis on Tavis Smiley.
Interrogating and unpacking. That's what we do around here. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
This is the story of the one. As a custodial supervisor at a high school, he knows that during cold and flu season, germs spread fast. It's why he partners with Grainger to stay fully stocked on the products and supplies he needs, from tissues to disinfectants to floor scrubbers. All so that he can help students, staff, and teachers stay healthy and focused. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Severe from Vicks.
Sinex Severe nasal spray.
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Severe instantly relieves nasal congestion and works 6 times faster than nasal decongestant tablets. The 12 hours of relief allow you to get back to the moments that matter without congestion.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Try Sinex Severe from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Hey, KBLA 1580 delegation, your health matters to us. We know that information is power, especially when it comes to prevention and treatment. That's why we're proud to introduce the brand new KBLA Health and Wellness Hub. This online space is built just for you, connecting our community to trusted health resources, culturally relevant care, and even access to diverse clinical trials and emerging therapies. Whether you're looking for information on common conditions, mental health support, or just want to stay on top of your wellness journey, we got you. And the best part, it's all on our website at kbla1580.com. Accessible, empowering, community-focused. So just go to kbla1580.com and click on the Health and Wellness Hub icon, because knowledge is power and your health is everything. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
All right, Tavis Smiley and Robin Allison Davis. So this memoir is called, again, Surviving Paris, a memoir of healing in the city of light. You have already heard that she was in New York for a decade, working at NBC, doing well, but something was gnawing at her. She said earlier, not necessarily boredom, but this notion that this nagging feeling, as it were, that she couldn't shake about moving and living abroad. She told her sister was cool with it, but then she has to tell her parents. What happens then, Robin?
So I actually made this entire presentation to show my parents because I knew it was going to be a fight. So I said, let me make this little PowerPoint and show them that I've thought this through.
Hold on. I'm just laughing. Only your producer would put together a PowerPoint for their parents about why they're going to move, which I find really, really cute. But please continue.
I wish I could say that was the first time I've done a PowerPoint for them.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes. So I did this PowerPoint and my parents were just like, Paris? Why Paris?
Yeah.
And I explained to them why, and they just didn't understand. Why would you want to live so far from us? They couldn't understand that. And then my mother said, well, I'm going to pray that you meet a man so you won't go. So I said, all right.
Oh, that's hilarious. Woo, all
Yeah,
righty
so
then.
obviously that didn't happen.
Yeah, okay, Mama. I ain't mad at you. Go ahead, Robin. Go ahead.
Yeah, so they eventually came around, but honestly, they didn't speak to me about it for months. And then when I told them, okay, well, I'm starting to pack up and this and that, they were like, you're still doing this? Yes,
Mm,
yes, we're still doing it. And they came around eventually.
yeah. But to your mother's point though, and I suspect your father as well, but that is a huge difference when you have lived a train ride away from your mom and them, and now you're going thousands of miles away. Um, Let me just ask about your parents before I get back to your story. They came around, but how challenging was that for them? Again, their daughter lives a train ride away, and now she's a world away.
It was very difficult for them.
Yeah.
But to be honest, when I lived in New York, they didn't come to visit me that often in New York.
Right.
And I was often taking the train down. So I
Right.
didn't think that it would be that big of a deal, but it was.
Yeah.
They were upset, but with technology, lots of FaceTimes and lots of calls, I'm very close with my parents.
Yeah.
So I talk to them every day. So eventually they were able to be okay with it. They still wish I was closer, but it's okay.
Yeah. I I have never actually thought about. It was funny. I was in a conversation the other day with some people, and somebody asked me if you had to live abroad. No, you have no option. You have to get out of here. We're kicking you out. Where in the world that you've traveled to, Tavis, would you want to live? Where would you want to relocate of all the places you've been to? And I've been to Paris, numbers of times, of course, over the course of my life and career. The place I chose, and everybody at this table was answering this question, my answer, in case you're curious, was Cape Town. I love Cape Town, and I could see myself hanging out. I could spend some time in Cape Town. So that was my answer. But I have seriously, and not just because of my career, my broadcast career, I have seriously never considered living abroad, and there are reasons for that. I can't imagine the notion of moving somewhere where I know no one, not having a job, no place to live. In my case, certainly not speaking the language, and no working papers. But that's essentially exactly what Robin did. That's a quantum leap. So tell me how all of that factors in to your decision to go anyway when you don't know nobody, and you ain't got a job, and you ain't got a place to live, and you have no working papers, and you going anyway, Robin?
I know it does sound crazy. It does. But the thing is, I tried to apply for several jobs abroad, and I always got stopped at the question, do you already have working papers? And I would say no, and then they would not consider me any farther. So after applying for so many jobs and even trying to get a transfer with my company, I decided, you know what? What if I just quit my job and I go for the student visa? Now, the student visa is one of the easiest ways that people move to France. You go and you study, a lot of times people will study French, and you are able to work a certain number of hours on that visa. I didn't want to go to study French. I wanted to still pursue my career, so I decided to do a master's degree instead at the American University of Paris. So that way, I wasn't landing completely without a cushion. I was landing with a network. So getting into that program and doing the Master's of Global Communications, I met friends. They helped me get apartments. The school did my paperwork for the visa. So all of that was really helpful. It wasn't completely a leap without any sort of network.
Yeah. And yet you write, now I'm working my way inside the book, Surviving Paris, a memoir of healing in the city of light. And yet you write when you arrived there, everything you said just now notwithstanding, Paris was not exactly what you had expected. Tell me about that part.
Paris for vacation is not the same Paris when you live there. It's very different. So I arrived in August. It was incredibly hot. There was no air conditioning anywhere. This is in 2016. And so that already makes you a little cranky. So going through trying to find an apartment while it's hot, it's humid, can't find an apartment because all the apartments are incredibly tiny. They're almost like the size of a college dorm room. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm 32 years old. I'd like something a little nicer, but it was hard to find. So it's going through all of that while you're also trying to make friends, while you're struggling in the language. I took lessons in French in New York before I moved, but once I got to France, I couldn't understand anyone. It wasn't the same type of French that I had been learning in my lessons. So I had all of these different roadblocks, which after a while tends to kind of break you down.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was it was definitely a challenge from day one. It was a challenge. But I decided, listen, Robin, you can do anything for 2 years. You can do this for 2 years. And I'm so glad that I stuck it out.
Hmm. What from whence does that come? This notion, this belief rather, that you can do anything for 2 years.
Honestly, it's just something I've always thought about myself. I've always thought for 2 years is not that long.
Hmm.
You can do anything, you can stick it out. Even when I first started in television, I had a job that was essentially an assistant job, and it was rough. It was very rough. I was
Hmm.
not getting paid well. My apartment was terrible with mold and roaches, and it was just completely awful. I was sick all the time because of the mold. But I knew that if I did this job, it's going to pay off. So that's always been something in my mind. Just, Robin, just persevere.
Yeah,
You can do anything for
yeah,
2 years
yeah.
and then figure it out from there.
I assume that must have come in handy when you had to persist through these bad jobs and bad apartments in Paris.
Oh, yes, definitely, yes.
Yeah.
It was the apartments. I don't know. Do you want me to get into the
Go
apartment
go for it.
situation?
Go for it.
So I've had about 8 apartments in Paris,
Yeah.
and the first one, it had a television, but television didn't work. It could not get Wi-Fi, despite me going back and forth to the Wi-Fi store, and they said, "Oh no, we need the phone number of the last person who lived in your apartment." Why? Why do you need that?
Mm.
Just to get my Wi-Fi going. So I never got the Wi-Fi going. The apartment was so small that you could basically cook while sitting on the toilet. It was that small. And also there was a big water tank above the toilet, so you can't actually really stand up correctly from the
Mm.
toilet. It was a ride. And I had other apartments, some were better than others. I had one that was infested with mice.
Mm.
From the very first night, they woke me up running through the apartment.
Mm.
All these different things that I just didn't expect. Because, if there was not Emily in Paris back then, but you've seen all the stereotypes of life in France, like, oh, it'll be so beautiful and you'll have the nice big apartment with the building and the crown molding. And no, no, that
Mm.
is not what I got. And it was quite a shock. It was pretty jarring.
Yeah. So I was in conversation with a guest on this program yesterday, and about a new book,
Mhm.
and he in his book talks about the because, which is even deeper than the why. And if you didn't hear that conversation yesterday, check out the podcast of it. But we're talking about the why of what we do and the because behind what we do. And it was a pretty amazing conversation yesterday. So you said a moment ago that you had already determined, given the life that you had lived here in the States at the time, that you could survive anything for 2 years. So here's my question: you could survive it for 2 years. And the story you've just told now of how this thing started out is not a cute story, right? You could survive it for 2 years, but why? Why? What was that compelling thing that was holding you in Paris, if I can put it that way, holding you there, Robin Allison Davis, through all these bad experiences initially? And I'm asking because you didn't have to be there. So what is this compelling thing that's holding you there?
That's funny. You sound like a lot of my friends when I would complain about my apartments. They were like, "Why are you still there? You
Yeah,
know you could always just come home. You could
yeah.
always come home." And it's true. But I think there was a bit of hope.
Mm,
I had a lot of hope that it couldn't be if that many people were always moving to Paris. I met people that had been living in Paris from the US for 20, 30 years. I had hope that it can't always be this bad.
yeah.
You know the saying, trouble doesn't last always.
There you go.
I was
There you
thinking
go.
it's got to get better at some point. And I do think thinking back to when I first arrived in New York, I was kind of comparing it that way.
Hmm.
It took a while, but I got out of that mold infested and roach infested apartment
Yeah.
and things got a lot better. I got promoted from that job and things got a lot better. So there was a bit of hope that I had. If I just kept pushing and just saw it through,
Yeah.
because I did so much to leave New York to go to Paris,
Yeah.
why not stick it through for at least 2 years and see what happens?
I told an audience not too long ago that I am not an optimist. I'm an eternal prisoner of hope. I've said many times before, optimism suggests there's a particular set of facts, circumstances, conditions. Put another way, something you can see, feel, or touch that gives you reason to believe that things are going to get better. And so that's not the experience of black folk in this country. We've never had reason, certainly not now, to be optimistic. Right. However, we've always been hopeful. And you just mentioned a gospel song. I'll go straight to the Bible, not to proselytize, but faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So even when you can't be optimistic, you can always find a reason to be hopeful. And that is the story of black folk, that we have built our lives on hope. Having said that, as I said to this audience the other day, sometimes even hope needs some help. We built our lives on hope, but sometimes hope needs a little bit of help, which is my way of asking whether or not in those early days there was anything that encouraged you. We've heard this, my friend Jesse Jackson Sr., the Reverend Jesse Jackson would say, there's the sunny side and there's the slummy side. So you've told us the slummy side. Was there any sunny side? Was there anything that gave you hope in those early days when nothing seemed to be going right?
Yes, absolutely. I mentioned before that there were a few expats that I'd met. There was a woman that I actually worked with who moved from Canada about 30 years ago to Paris and had a thriving career, a house, a husband, a child. Her life is going very well. And she told me, listen, moving to Paris will humble you. It will humble you. She had a great job in Canada and she had to kind of take a few steps back to just make her life work in Paris. She said, it'll humble you, but it'll pay off. And just talking to her and having community, I started to build community in Paris, and that gave me hope. There were a lot of my friends that had to move back for one reason or another, but I could still look to people that had been there for 10, 15, 20 years and see that, okay, this is possible. It's not impossible.
Yeah. So tell me, for a 32-year-old black woman who has moved, left her job at NBC in New York City, moved to Paris, what does community look like? Just to define, at least certainly your community. What did your community look like?
My community in Paris?
Yes.
My community in Paris is actually incredibly diverse.
Okay.
I will say that it is a lot of Anglophones. I do have French people in my community, but it's a lot of people that have lived in Paris for minimum 5 years, who have all gone through the kind of struggles that you go through in the first 2 years, because that's not unique to me. A lot of people struggle in the first 2 years. France has a lot of bureaucracy that is very difficult, and having that community, people that have lived there 5 years, people who speak both English and French, people who all are honestly a little bit adventurous because we all took the risk to leave our home country to move to France.
Yeah.
So my community is, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but it's a great group. It really is. I had a Paris book party this past weekend, and to see about 100 people in my Paris community come out, it was great.
No, I just wanted to get a sense of what that community looked like, and you answered it quite nicely. All right, so this is 2016 when she quits her job at NBC. She moves from New York to Paris after convincing her parents and her sister that she'd be okay. And things start off really, really rocky. And a couple years in, things are starting to settle. She's starting to find her way. She's developing relationships. She's building community. And then 2018 shows up. And the story turns dramatically. How's that for a tease? More with Robin Allison Davis and her book, Surviving Paris, a Memoir of Healing in the City of Light. Healing is the key word there. I'm giving you just a hint. A memoir of healing in the City of Light. We'll get to the rest of this story when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
For all the freedom-loving folk, this is Tavis Smiley.
I feel like freedom.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. President Trump is deploying the National Guard to Memphis, Tennessee to fight violent crime. Local Democrats, including Black State Representative Justin Pearson, are pushing back.
And until we see a tank roll in, we need to fight with all we can to prevent this from happening.
Representative Pearson says the city doesn't want troops on its streets. The National Park Service is removing or flagging slavery-related exhibits at historic sites under President Trump's directive to restore balance in U.S. history. That includes pulling the 1863 photo, The Scourged Back. Sites like Harper's Ferry and Philadelphia's President's House are under review. And the 2026 Coachella lineup is out. Young Thug and Clips join headliners Sabrina Carpenter, Justin Bieber, and Karol G. The festival runs April 10th through the 12th and 17th through the 19th in Indio, California. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Ignite your afternoons at Waba Grill's $5 happy hour with our 5-piece pork veggie dumplings and a value-sized premium beverage drink, like our tangy passion fruit lemonade. Enjoy $5 happy hour weekdays after 3 p.m. Only at Waba Grill.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Chargers are 2-0 after beating the Raiders Monday night in Vegas 20-9. 3 interceptions by the Chargers defense, which also kept the Raiders out of the end zone. The Raiders were limited to 3 field goals. The Chargers are worried about linebacker Khalil Mack. He left the game in the first quarter with what could be a serious elbow injury. Mack will have an MRI exam Tuesday morning. A couple of surprising stats in the NFL after week 2 of the regular season. The Kansas City Chiefs are 0-2 for the first time since 2014, the last time they did not make the playoffs. The 2-0 Indianapolis Colts are the first team since 1966 to play their first 2 games without having to punt. The Colts are averaging 31 points per game and have made 3 of 5 fourth down conversions. The Dodgers lost at home to Philadelphia 6-5 in 10 innings. The win clinched the NL East title for the Phillies. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
I can't believe how spotless my floors look after using the Swiffer Power Mop. No more dragging around a heavy mop and messy bucket. Now I get the same deep clean without all the work. Thanks to the powerful solution and scrubbing pad of the Swiffer Power Mop, dirt and grime don't stand a chance, and I don't break a sweat. Mic drop. Mop drop.
Swiffer Power Mop. Swiffer Power Mop.
A smarter way to mop. Try it or your money back.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know? The United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time. Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
This is the story of the one. As a custodial supervisor at a high school, he knows that during cold and flu season, germs spread fast. It's why he partners with Grainger to stay fully stocked on the products and supplies he needs, from tissues to disinfectants to floor scrubbers. Also that he can help students, staff, and teachers stay healthy and focused. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Severe from Vicks.
Sinex Severe Nasal Spray.
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Severe instantly relieves nasal congestion and works 6 times faster than nasal decongestant tablets. The 12 hours of relief allow you to get back to the moments that matter without congestion.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Try Sinex Severe from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
Less monologue, more dialogue. Tavis Smiley continues right now.
It does indeed with Robin Allison Davis, who is our guest in this hour. Pleased to have her. Her book is called Surviving Paris, a Memoir of Healing in the City of Light. And I should have mentioned this earlier. I did not. But the book is actually out today. And I only raise that because it is always humbling for me. It is always a signal honor for me to have guests on this program who choose this platform, when there are others they could choose, to appear on the day their work drops. And so I just want to underscore how grateful I am to Robin for putting us on her list, and for every author who comes on this program rather routinely, as you know, the day that their stuff drops, or as we say in the book business, the day they birth their baby, because that's what it is. It's a birthing process. I've done it a few times in my career, and so Pub Day is always a big day. And so, Robin, congratulations on Pub Day today, and thank you for choosing us as a platform to talk about your book. Once again, it's called Surviving Paris, a Memoir of Healing in the City of Light. All right, so we've established where Robin was and why Robin decided to leave and how she had to convince her parents and what happens when she gets to Paris and all the drama that ensues. And now she's 2 years in and things are starting to settle. She's finding her way. She's got friends. She's building community. She's got work. She's no longer living in an apartment with mice running around. So things are, as James Brown, the Godfather, might say, she's getting on the good foot. And then 2018 rolls around. So all I will say, Robin, is 2018, and you take it from there.
2018, I finally got a job in Paris. I was so excited. I was so happy. I had been working an internship and they finally turned it into a job. So I said, okay, great. I'm ready to take on the world now. I finally have like a real job in Paris, and maybe I can like meet a man. Maybe I can, really perfect my French, all these different things. And actually, after about a month or so into the job, I went to see my doctor and she felt a lump in my breast. And I didn't really think that much of it because I had no family history of breast cancer. I had noticed the lump, but I had convinced myself it was maybe something else. And no, it wasn't something else. I was diagnosed with breast cancer at age 34. And that was the shock of my life, to be honest. It was not something, even in my extended family, there was no breast cancer. So I didn't know what to do because I was alone in this country. I had friends, but my family wasn't with me.
Sure.
And they wanted to move fast. I was diagnosed on June 26th. They said, we want to give you a mastectomy in Paris, July 12th. So very, very fast. And it was a whirlwind. It was really a whirlwind. I had to go through so many different tests. I had to plan the surgery. My family decided to fly over to be with me for the surgery. But I didn't really have time to process it all because it all happened so fast. I thought, well, should I go back to the U.S. for this? But we all know how healthcare works in the U.S. I didn't have a job in the U.S., so I didn't have health insurance. And if I had decided to somehow get on Medicaid, that probably would have taken a while. And if my doctors wanted to move fast, wouldn't have the mastectomy, then maybe I wouldn't survive the long wait of trying to get on health insurance in the U.S. So ultimately, I decided to go through with treatment in Paris.
There are a few things to ask about this. What did you know at that point? You're relatively new. You've just been there a couple of years. What did you know about the healthcare system in Paris? And I understand the dilemma that you were facing. But what did you know about their healthcare system? Anything?
All I knew is what everyone else knows, that it is cheap and good. That's all I knew. But I didn't know all the different steps or how to really go through the healthcare system. And even the French people that I knew, they couldn't really help because everyone knows how to go through health care in their country if they've got like a cold or a flu or something like that. But when it's something as big as cancer, it's really difficult to navigate. And not everyone knows how to navigate that, even in their own healthcare systems. So it was very, I had a lot to learn. I
Yeah.
really did.
Yeah. I'm going to jump ahead and I'll come back in just a second here. So just tell me in retrospect, and again, just jumping ahead for a quick second here. In retrospect, tell me what your takeaway was, what you learned, because you opined earlier about what we all know about how our healthcare system works. So I'm just jumping ahead. Tell me what your takeaways were when all was said and done about their healthcare system and the way you were treated or maltreated in it, you tell me, versus our healthcare system.
Well, I do appreciate the price point
Yeah.
of fringe healthcare.
Mhm.
You're not going to go bankrupt trying to live, trying to get well. The doctors really prioritize your health over budgetary concerns. It's not the same as the US where the insurance has to approve
Yeah.
for you to get a test or for you to get a surgery or anything like that. The doctor says, we want to run this test. We're going to get this test done. So you're not held up by insurance companies or costs or delays or anything like that. So I really appreciated that you are able to move fast because, especially with something like cancer, you don't know how fast it could spread.
Yeah.
It could be an aggressive cancer, and you don't really have the delays that I often hear about people having in the US. I find that also it's more accessible, the healthcare in France. You're not going through 50 million loops to talk to your doctor. You have websites where you can talk to them. Your doctors can give you their phone number and you just call them up. I have, of course, my family in the US. With their health insurance, it seems like they can never reach their doctors ever. And so that was something that I really, really appreciated. But then there were also things where I just felt like they could have it could have worked out better. It could have worked out a lot better in terms of when I advocated for myself, and the fact that I had to advocate for myself so much, there were so many things that I was told no, just flat out no. And I didn't understand why I was told no, because in the US, it's something that would be automatic. For example, when they told me I would have to get a mastectomy, they said, we're going to do a single mastectomy. I said, well, okay, I want a double. Give me a double mastectomy. And the doctor said, no, we won't do that. I'm like, what do you mean, no? Because so many women in the US, when they are told that, they say they want a double and then they're able to get a double. And there were many, many reasons I wanted a double mastectomy, but he said, no, we won't do that. And that was it. That was the end of it.
Two questions right quick here. Given what you just said, what are your what's your takeaway about? And I'm not trying to beat up on the French because God knows we have this problem in this country. But what's your takeaway about the cultural competence that does or does not exist in their healthcare system? Here you are, a black woman in Paris, so you see what
Yes.
I'm asking about.
Yes. So I think I did definitely come up against medical racism and medical misogyny in France. I think that France is a much more patriarchal society than the US. And I often ran into that problem. For example, when I was going through chemotherapy, I had to call one of my doctors because I had a really, really bad reaction to one of the drugs.
Right.
And a friend called for me, a female friend, and the doctor got upset. They said, why would you have someone else call for you? You call me if you have a problem. You call me. Well, if it had been my husband calling, would that have been an issue? Like, why is that a problem? So it was a lot of different things like that. For example, also when I ended up having to go through radiation, the doctor said, well, your skin is black, you're going to burn. And I said, well, there's nothing I can do. And he's like, no, black skin burns. It just does.
Wow.
So I ended up looking up online and finding a group, Breast Cancer Baddies, and lots of women of color, black women, saying, here's what you need to do during radiation to make sure you don't burn. And then I did that. The doctor saw me again and he said, oh, I'm surprised you haven't burned. What's going on? Like, why are you not learning these things about all of your patients? Why are you telling me as a black woman that I'm just going to burn and there's nothing to be done? Obviously, there's something to be done, but you never looked into it because you didn't care. So I did have a lot of issues like that.
So I said I was going to jump forward and then circle back. So let me tee up how I want to circle back when we come forward here with Robin Allison Davis. I am curious as to how, and of course she discusses this in the book. I don't want to give it all away, but I think she can answer this question for you and for me. I'm curious as to how, in a foreign land, to be told you're diagnosed with breast cancer anywhere is shocking. It's arresting. But to be told that as a black woman in another country that does not have culturally competent care, that you have breast cancer and that they want to remove your breast immediately, psychologically, spiritually, emotionally, how do you process that? That's my question for Robin when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
From Leimert Park with love, this is Tavis Smiley.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Dr. Nicolai Corte. Let's preserve black land stories before they're lost forever. I want to personally invite you to be a part of something historic. As journalist in residence for the Black Land Lost Narrative Archive Project, I've joined forces with powerhouse attorney and social justice champion George Fothery, the man who helped make history by delivering justice to the Bruce family in Manhattan Beach, securing the first known return of land unjustly taken from black owners by a local government. That victory was monumental, but it was just the beginning. For generations, black families have acquired land through grit, faith, and determination, only to lose it through violence, legal loopholes, forced sales, and systematic racism. What's been taken goes far beyond dirt and deeds. It's the erasure of wealth, identity, and legacy. That's why we've launched the Black Land Lost Narrative Archive Project, a national effort to collect, protect, and preserve the stories of black land lost before they're buried, forgotten, or erased altogether. Because there's power in telling black stories, there is resistance in remembering, and there's justice in being seen and heard. This is where you come in. We're inviting you to be a part of this historic black narrative archive. If you or someone you know has experienced land loss, displacement, or forced property sales, your story deserves to be heard and remembered. Your story belongs in this archive. Your truth matters not just to your family, but to our collective future. Visit blacklandlost.org today. Fill out our simple intake form and add your voice to the National Archive of Remembrance, Resilience, and Reckoning. Let's make these stories live on, not in whispers, but on the record. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Dr. Nicolai Corte, and as always, we welcome your feedback.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your Senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
More honesty than you can handle.
More empowerment than you can imagine.
You're tuned in to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Robin Allison Davis on what is the publication day for her new book, her first book called Surviving Paris, a memoir of healing in the city of light. I jumped forward, now I'm coming back to that question that I posed a moment ago, Robin. Psychologically, spiritually, emotionally, you're in a foreign land as a black woman, and you're just basically learning your way around. How did you process this diagnosis?
To be honest, I feel like I didn't. I had so many tests and so many things to do that it was really just, let me just follow what they're telling me to do. Let me just follow what they're telling me to do. And it wasn't until after the mastectomy, maybe about a month or so later, where I really, honestly, probably fell into a deep depression. It was very emotional, very rough for me because I'd never grieved. I'd never grieved the amputation of my breast. I'd never grieved the life I thought I was going to have. I hadn't done any of that. I was just trying to do one foot in front of the other, just stay the course, get all the treatment done, you'll be fine. And when I actually had time to sit and think about it, it was rough. It was incredibly rough. I tried to lean on my family. Of course, I leaned on my faith as well. But in terms of my faith, I also felt like, well, God, why did this happen to me? I was the good girl. Why did this happen? So that was also a part of my processing that was really difficult for me.
Yeah. You have no reason to know this, but for those who've listened to me for years or watched me for that matter on TV for years, I've discussed this so many times. But I'm sitting in a studio that was in part built by a black woman named Cheryl Flowers. Cheryl was my longtime radio producer who passed away of breast cancer over a decade ago now. She had triple negative breast cancer. And she passed away. And if you're ever in Los Angeles and you come to the Smiley building in Leimert Park, on the front of our building, you will see a plaque on the wall honoring Cheryl Flowers. And if you come through the back door, you're going to see a plaque on the back wall of this building honoring Cheryl Flowers. And so whenever I'm in conversations like these, I just call her name because in so many ways, she wasn't involved in my TV career. My radio career would never have been what it is now, had it not been for Cheryl Flowers, who died too soon at the age of 42 from triple negative breast cancer. So to hear you tell this story of being diagnosed in your 30s just pulls at all kind of heartstrings. I'll leave it there before I get emotional. Our remaining moments with Rob and Allison Davis when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Helping to stretch your moral and political imagination. This is Tavis Smiley.
Are you ready to be a part of the conversation that will help shape our nation's future? Get ready to join us for the Left Coast Forum, Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech, where progressive voices will come together to tackle the issues that matter most to working families across Los Angeles and beyond. From economic justice to climate action, from healthcare to housing, we're bringing together the brightest minds and most passionate advocates for real solutions and real change. With workshops, 2 major keynote addresses, and a closing reception with great music and good food. It's the Left Coast Forum, where your voice matters and your ideas take action. Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech. Brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 and the LA Progressive. The future won't wait, and neither should you. Mark your calendar now to be there and be heard. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 for more details.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
Is your loved one at the hospital or in a nursing home? Have they developed bed sores, fallen, or worse? These are things your family members should be protected from. Bed sores, falls, and dehydration are almost always the result of negligent care. If this has happened to your loved one, call Zoran at Basic Law Group at 800-215-1234 or visit basiclawgroup.com. The consultation is free, and if they don't win, you don't pay. That's 800-215-1234.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
Helping to make you the most knowledgeable person in your circle of friends. This is Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Robin Allison Davis for another 3 or 4 minutes here before I lose her at the top of this hour. I am grateful for this hour with her, discussing her new book out today called Surviving Paris, a Memoir of Healing in the City of Light. Now you see why I underscored that word healing 3 or 4 times earlier in this conversation. All right, Robin, you got healthy again. And you now have a second chance at life, and you've written this book. So now what?
Well, right now I'm in New York to promote the book, of course, but I'm still living in Paris, and I actually got my French nationality, if you can believe it.
Wow.
So I am a dual passport holder.
Okay.
I moved into a great new apartment, which has none of the problems of the past one. And I'm back to writing and journalism, which I love and I missed so much. So everything is going well, and I've even got the French man.
Wow.
So there's even that.
I'm scared of you. All right. Your mama's prayers have been answered.
Yes.
Although a few years too late.
Yes.
You did make the trip to Paris. Her prayers weren't answered as early as she hoped. So let me just ask, and maybe you just answered it by telling me about the French man. So you're going to stay in Paris for a little while, I take it.
I'm not sure if I'll stay forever, but I will definitely stay for a little while.
Yeah.
Because now that I have the passport, I can go
Sure.
back whenever I want.
Yeah. I don't mean to
And
make
the country does mean so much to me now after everything I've been through.
Yeah. I want to probe that in 1 second here. Before I do that, though, I'm just thinking, given all the conversations you can imagine I'm having every day on this program in trying to navigate the era of Donald Trump 2.0, I'm thinking about how you have dual citizenship and all the folk that we are kicking out and other folk we won't let in. But that's another conversation for another time. But that thought just dropped in my head when you talked about the fact that you have dual citizenship there now. So let me close on this note. After all you've been through, you just intimated a moment ago that you now have a particular bond, if not love, for France and for the city of Paris. Tell me about that part.
Yes, I mean, I feel that France is a country that saved my life.
Yeah.
It really did. I think that had I gone through, in particular, my second cancer diagnosis, which we didn't even really fully get into, if I had gone through that in the U.S., I don't know if I would have made it. The healthcare system, the doctors I had, it really worked out well for me, and it's really bonded me to the country. I love the country, and I can't see myself like leaving and not going back or something like that. Like, I've had the worst moments of my life in Paris, the deepest, darkest moments that you could imagine, but also some of the most beautiful.
Yeah.
And I'm holding on to that.
Well, your comment resonates with me, and I've had, again, more conversations than I can count about Black maternal health in this country that you know all too well, given what you intimated earlier. You were where you were supposed to be when you were supposed to be there. It all worked out the way it was supposed to work out, and you're right. We didn't get to the second cancer diagnosis, but in this country, again, given the ways that Black women too often are maltreated by our healthcare system, you might have been better off where you were, all things considered. The book is called Surviving Paris, a Memoir of Healing in the City of Light. Its author is Emmy Award-winning journalist Robin Allison Davis, who I thank for, again, coming on this program on the day that the book actually drops. Robin, nothing but the best to you in the coming months and years. Thank you for your time. I deeply appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Just like that, 3 hours gone. Back here tomorrow, Lord willing, to do it all over again. Until tomorrow, thanks for tuning in to Tavis Smiley. And as always, keep the faith.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. President Trump is deploying the